Some carriers give you so little for your older busted phone, you just end up living with it. I don't think so. Verizon lets you trade in your broken phone for a shiny new one. You break it, we upgrade it. You dunk it, doggy bone it, slam it, wham it, strawberry jam it. We upgrade it.
Get a 5G phone on us with select plans.
Every customer, current, new, or business.
Because everyone deserves better. And with plans starting at just $35, better costs less than you think.
Today is Monday, November 15, 2021. Coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. President Joe Biden signs one of his biggest achievements, the $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. We'll talk with Texas Congressman Al Green about the Build Back Better plan right here. Also, why the continuing attacks against Vice President Kamala Harris? What's going on here? We'll talk with Melanie Campbell, President and CEO of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, about all of the drama going on and the targeting of this sister. The same Georgia defense attorney, the white guy in the trial of 3 white men who was accused of killing Ahmaud Arbery, tried for a mistrial today. Why? Because he wasn't happy that Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. was in the courtroom. Wait until we show you this nonsense that took place today in Georgia. And in Wisconsin, the judge presiding over the Kyle Rittenhouse murder trial dismisses the underage weapons charge and will allow the jury to consider the victims provoked their own shooting. A federal appeals court rejects Oklahoma death row inmate Julius Jones' appeal to stay his execution scheduled for Thursday. His only hope is for Governor Kevin Stitt, who is yet to grant Jones clemency. A black Texas teen was attacked with a stun gun by students dressed in KKK garb on Halloween. We'll talk with his attorney about what's going on in this case, plus a month of protesting. Now the Blackburn takeover has ended at Howard University. We had the exclusive live stream this morning of the Students' News Conference. All right, folks, it is time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the miss, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, rolling with Roland now. He's funk, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now.
Big day at the White House as President Joe Biden signs his $1.2 trillion Build Back Better deal. Here is what took place at the White House.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Great job. Everybody gets one. All right.
Now, this is a huge deal, of course, because it has been a contentious issue back and forth between the White House and folks on Capitol Hill. You had 13 Republicans, and of course, who went along with this deal in the House. You had 19 Republicans who voted for the bill in the United States Senate. Republicans have been doing their part, complaining, calling the signing of this bill literally communism. In a moment, we're going to hear from President Joe Biden. Right now, I want to go to Texas Congressman Al Green, who joins us right now. Congressman Green, glad to have you on the show. First and foremost, this obviously is a huge deal. When you go through this and you look at what's in the bill, needed improvements to Americans' infrastructure. But what do you make of your colleagues, the Republicans, who continue to call this communism and socialism?
And making threats. Those 13 persons who signed on, who are members of the House, have had a good deal of misery imposed upon them. And this used to be, Roland, as you very well know, the kind of thing that we would coalesce around, compromise on, and produce a great piece of legislation for the American people. Unfortunately, things have digressed now to the point that if the Republicans do anything at all, if they should do anything to support an effort that can be attributed to Democrats, they're going to be ostracized and criticized. The politics has become so divisive that merely deciding you're going to do the right thing will get you in the wrong position with your party if you're a Republican. Very sad, but true.
Yeah, but when you go through this, when we're talking about roads, bridges, ports. Yes. We're talking about the infrastructure, the power grid. We're talking about all these different things. I can guarantee you these same Republicans are going to be lining up with their hands out saying, me, 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 when it's time to distribute the money.
And they will be at the ribbon cutting ceremonies. There's $65 billion for broadband. We've got $110 billion for these roads and bridges and other ports that will be repaired. And some will actually be enhanced by doing more than creating repairing structural problems. So it's a lot of money involved in it because the American Society of Engineers gave us a grade of D+. You can't have a first-class country with second-class infrastructure. So yes, they'll be there for the ribbon-cutting ceremonies, but I think we'll have a duty to say something at those ceremonies when credit is being taken and ask, how did you vote for it? That's going to be the key question for a good many who will show up. If you show up in my district, that's the question I'll be asking. How did you vote for it?
Well, I'll tell you this here. If any of them show up at any ribbon-cutting ceremony, it should be made perfectly clear, hey, so-and-so's here, glad to see you. Y'all don't forget, he or she voted against this.
I think you make a good point. I also think that we have a responsibility to our constituents to make sure that they understand what's happening here. We are making progress for them. However, there is this desire, it seems, to divert us to look at other social issues. People want us to vote based upon things that don't impact our lives on a daily basis. Bridges impact our lives daily. Whether or not you're going to vote for a person because they've supported the abortion bill or not doesn't impact our lives on a daily basis. I support people doing what they want and having a choice when it comes to these issues like abortion, but I don't believe that we should allow this to become the seminal issue when it comes to an election, because we have too many other things that are impacting our lives on a daily basis. This infrastructure bill is going to impact everybody in this country. There will be charging stations across the country. This is a first. The president has made it very clear that we're going to move into electric cars, and that's a good thing because we cannot continue to pollute the atmosphere. In the Build Back Better, we have $555 billion to give us some sort of cleaning up of our environment. That's very important as well. So we can't let people divert our attention. This is going to be the effort. Divert us away from the good things that we do so that they can somehow maintain the power and dominance that they want for years to come.
It is quite hilarious to see them do so. We're going to continue talking about this, but I do want to get your comment. The 10th person has died in the tragic case out of Astroworld. Massive lawsuits that are being filed. More than 100 lawsuits have been filed thus far. Just your thoughts about what has unfolded in our hometown of Houston.
Yes. Well, we've sent prayers and our thoughts and our sympathies, but that is not enough. Lives have been lost. And somewhere along the way, we've got to do more than simply say we want them to have hope. They've got to have some help. People want closure. And to get to closure, we've got to know who knew or should have known this could take place. Somebody either knew or should have known this could happen. And we then need to know, was that person in a position such that that person could make a difference, could have prevented it? And once we find out who knew, should have known, could have prevented it, then we have to take some action because there has to be some redress for the people who have suffered the loss of loved ones. 10 people died, 9-year-old baby has died as a result of this, and it was a horrible death. So I'm grateful that you have kept this before the public because we want to not only make sure that it doesn't happen again in Houston, we don't want it to happen again any place in this country. We live in a country where we can avoid this. We have avoided it on other occasions. It's time to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And we may have to have, I say may, we haven't gotten there yet, a congressional investigation into this if the scope of it seems to be national to the extent that other places may suffer if we don't act.
All right then, Congressman Al Green, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Look forward to having you back.
Thank you very much. And happy birthday.
All right, folks.
Belatedly.
Yes, sir. Thank you so very much. Folks, as I said, President Joe Biden spoke about the importance of the $1.2 trillion bill. This is what he said earlier today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, thank you. Heather, you thought you're surprised you're standing here. Jill was very surprised I'm standing here. Well, Heather, thank you for the introduction. And I can't look over here because the sun's shining in my eyes, but all this other crowd over here, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for all you've done. Look, thanks for sharing this day with us. Why this day matters to you and your fellow iron workers and your families, and you explained it well. For all the folks at home, I know this day matters to you as well. I know you're tired of the bickering in Washington, frustrated by the negativity, and you just want us to use and focus on your needs, your concerns, and the conversations that are taking place at your kitchen table. Conversation as profound as they are ordinary. How do I find work? How do I get there? How can our small business thrive and our child succeed in school? Or how do we emerge from this pandemic, not just with a little bit of breathing room, but with real fighting chance to get ahead? When we ran for president, I thought maybe I could help answer some of those questions for you and the needs you have. Because every time I'd ride home on Amtrak, I'd go through just north of just south of Baltimore. I'd look out, go through a suburban neighborhood. I'd look in all those lights are on in the windows, Nance, and I'd look and I wonder, what are they talking about? I'm serious, I swear to God. What are they talking about sitting at that table? What are they talking about? They're talking about the things that I talked about at our kitchen table, Jill at hers, and all of you as well. And that's about how can we come together to be president for all Americans, to make sure our democracy delivers for you, for all of you. And I promised that we couldn't just build back to what it was before. We literally had to build back better. You couldn't build back. We're the only country that's always come out of great crises stronger than we went in. The world has changed, and we have to be ready. My fellow Americans today, I want you to know we hear you and we see you. The bill I'm about to sign along is proof that despite the cynics, Democrats and Republicans can come together and deliver results. We can do this. We can deliver real results for real people. We see in ways that really matter each and every day to each person out there. And we're taking a monumental step forward to build back better as a nation. I want to thank everyone who helped make this happen. Vice President Harris, my cabinet members, my White House team, Jill, Doug, our first lady, and our first lady and our second husband. No, I'm joking. These guys travel all over the country together. I'm getting worried, you know. And Doug's one hell of a lawyer besides. And everybody from the United States Senate, Majority Leader Schumer, and a group of Senate Democrats and Republicans who established this bipartisan framework, including representatives and all the folks you heard from. Senator Rob Portman is a really hell of a good guy. I'm not hurting you, Rob, because I know you're not running again. That's the only reason I say it. But you are a hell of a good guy. And the most determined woman I know, Senator Kristen Sinema. Congratulations, Kristen. Look, Committee Chair Tom Carper, Ranking Member Shelley Moore Capito, I also want to thank Minority Leader Mitch McConnell for voting for this bill and talking about how useful and important it is. And from the House of Representatives, Speaker Pelosi, Steny Hoyer, Jim Clyburn, and Committee Chair Pete DeFazio, Democrats and Republicans, progressives and moderates, I'd like to pause and ask all the committee chairs and ranking members of the United States Senate and House that are here today, please stand. Will all of you stand? Come on. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Pound, Dr. Omokongo Dibinga, professorial lecturer, School of International Service at American University. Tammy Allison is the partner. She's the partner attorney, and Eugene Craig, CEO, X Factor Media Inc. Glad to have all three of you here. Eugene, you see Biden there touting the bipartisan effort there of the bill. As I said to Congressman Al Green, you have Republicans who are running around yelling socialism and saying, "Oh my God, this is communism." Were they calling it communism when Trump was proposing a $2 trillion infrastructure bill last year? I didn't realize repairing America's bridges and ports and dealing with lead pipes is now communism.
Look, as you see, whenever parties change power, so do priorities, right? And it's easy to attack from the outside. So look, roads are crappy, bridges are failing, airports need updating, and and to be quite frank about it, $1.2 trillion may not be enough to actually get the job fully done, but it's a good start. Americans every single year, spend upwards of $500-600, just on wheel alignment alone because of potholes from bad roads. When you have over half your bridges are deficient, when it comes to actually just sustaining themselves, what Republicans going to be moved to action once that bridge is actually falling over and mass casualty events? No. It's the federal government's job to prevent those things and actually repair these bridges or replace them. And so, this is a big bill. It affects a lot of different, almost every American life. It affects a lot of different sectors. And it's a good start.
I do get a kick out of the folks who whine and complain on Congo, but trust me, their hands are going to be out begging to get some of this money. Billions of dollars are going to be spent in local communities nationwide.
I mean, look, Mitch McConnell didn't even wait to the signing today. Last week, he was calling it a godsend, right? And they're already out there claiming that this is what they brought. And this is part of Biden and the Democrats' challenge, because we know like 45% of America is already gone in terms of they're caught up in conservative media and Fox and all of that. They didn't watch the ceremony today. The Democrats have to be strong on the messaging. They have to go out into all these rural communities. I think you mentioned this last week, put a big old sign up saying that this is brought to you by President Biden and Vice President Harris, so that people will know, because every single day these Republicans, they've already done it, they're going to milk it. And when they start seeing broadband coming into these rural areas, the schools starting to be improved, they need to know that there's a Democratic face on top, in front of it. And furthermore, they need to get this messaging out, and they need to get the next part of the Build Back Better plan passed as well, because as Malcolm Nance talks about, we got a Republican insurgency that has to be dealt with. So we can celebrate today and we can talk about all the things that we need to be doing, but they need to get this out of the way so we can get the voting rights out of the way so they can fight these Republicans who are still unified and trying to take over this government. And we have to make sure that the messaging on all of this is very clear for the Democrats.
And Tammy, messaging is critically important. And so what the Democrats do in order to sell this bill is really going to be vital.
Absolutely. And as someone who recently ran for the U.S. House of Representatives here in Texas District 6, I understand how important it is for the Democrats to phrase this victory strategically as we're coming up on names getting on the ballot for the primaries that are coming up. I think that the bipartisan effort is something that the Democrats are going to have to very much focus on to eliminate this very strong divisiveness that we've seen. And I think that both the Democrats and Republicans are kind of over the extreme arguing between the Democrats and the Republicans. So to be able to say confidently that this bill was passed with bipartisan support is very crucial for the Democrats to strategically take over and turn some of these districts and states blue that we've been seeing have not been able to be done in the past.
Look, that does indeed matter. I do want to bring in Melanie Campbell. She's with the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation. She joins us right now. Melanie, glad to have you here. The White House offered up a number of African Americans today for interviews to tout this particular bill, to tout its passage. Messaging is important. How must this be talked about on Black radio, in the streets, in various communities? Because you'll have those who say, look, we're not going to benefit from this. It's going to be large white construction companies that are going to actually make money from this. And so what must be done to ensure that we, African Americans, are getting our fair share?
Thank you, Roland. First of all, I think we need to declare and understand that we help make that happen. Those resources, those public sector resources, those public works resources. I know there's a challenge when it comes to construction, but also you're talking about the kinds of jobs that will be created. There were a lot of mayors there today for a reason. I worked for the late Mayor Jackson administration many years ago. And so you had folks, the mayor of Houston and Chicago and in small towns as well, because they know that those are real resources that can come into our communities that will be real good paying jobs. And we're in construction too. We have Black construction companies. And there's a lot that goes with those kinds of resources that creates jobs. It may not all be on the front line of putting the pipes down, but it's going to be those engineering firms, all of the things that create jobs. And we have to know that which is why I wanted to be there today, because we've been out here pushing. That Build Back Better plan has two parts to it. And one thing Vice President Harris said today is this is part one of two. You heard a lot of that being said by Schumer and others, that this is part of this initial down payment on quote unquote Build Back Better. So I think it's important that this administration make sure that I heard my sister and brothers are talking about those that you want to try to bring along, but the people who are your base need to know that this was a victory. And so it was very important. I saw people from across the country that some of our people were here, even from Michigan, that were in town for it. So that's the part of that messaging has to be to the base to know that this is important, and this is going to bring resources to our community as well.
Prior to President Biden speaking, Vice President Kamala Harris spoke. I wanted to play what she had to say as well.
Please welcome Heather Kurtenbach.
In a moment. Please have a seat. President Joe Biden, Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, Cabinet members, Congress members, governors and mayors, and my fellow Americans. This is an historic day. In the middle of the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln started construction on the Transcontinental Railroad. In the middle of the Great Depression, President Franklin Roosevelt finished construction on the Hoover Dam. President Dwight Eisenhower signed the National Interstate and Defense Highways Act in the middle of the Cold War. And today, President Joe Biden will sign the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act into law. Indeed, is an historic day today. From the very start of our administration, we were determined to follow through, not just on our promise to invest in our nation's infrastructure, but on the promises that the American people have heard for years now. And we would not be here today were it not for your leadership, Mr. President. From the very start, you welcomed Democrats, independents, and Republicans to meet with us in the Oval Office. You welcomed ideas. You welcomed debate, all in the service of getting this bill done. And here is what I know to be true, Mr. President. You are equal parts believer and builder. And because you are, we are all better off. On behalf of our nation, thank you, Mr. President. And of course, our administration did not arrive at this day by ourselves. We are also here because of leaders in the House and the Senate who worked on this bill together, who voted for this bill. And we are here because of the millions of Americans who believed that we could get this done. Well, we got it done, America. We got it done. In many ways, this day embodies our character as a nation. It demonstrates exactly who we are. We are believers through and through. We see what can be unburdened by what has been. We are as bold as we are determined to do big things. The Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act proves that. It proves that in America, we have the courage to believe a better future is possible and to build it together. After this bill is signed into law, millions more Americans will go to work in good-paying, good union jobs. Americans like Jovan Johnson, a carpenter I met in Nevada, who said that she has, quote, built her career on infrastructure and fed her family on infrastructure. Americans like Jeff Bird, a line design technician I met with in New Hampshire. He attaches fiber to utility poles to keep up with the demand for high-speed internet. Or Leslie Kilgore, an engineer I met with in North Carolina, whose team is building electric school buses. Or Walter Cody, a construction inspector with whom I met, who is working to get clean water to families in California. This will be a nationwide effort, the likes of which we have not seen in a generation. It will make our country more competitive, and it will deliver on our nation's and our administration's commitment to equity. Now, this bill, as significant as it is, as historic as it is part one of two. To lower costs and cut taxes for working families, to tackle the climate crisis at its core, Congress must also pass the Build Back Better Act. The work of building a more perfect union did not end with the railroad or the interstate, and it will not end now. So on this historic day, let us all continue to believe in our people, believe in our country, and believe in what we can do when we work together. Thank you all. May God bless you, and may God bless America.
Well, for all the people out there who have been reading these nonsensical stories attacking Vice President Harris, saying, oh, she's disappeared, there you go. Let me speak to that for a second, and I'm going to go to Melanie, I'm going to go to my panel as well, because I need everybody to understand what is going on here. We are not even at year one in the administration of Biden and Harris. And already there have been stories in the Los Angeles Times, in Politico, numerous stories in Politico. Now this CNN story over the weekend, how there's this massive dysfunction and how the White House is tired of Vice President Harris and her staff is not trusting of the White House. Here's what should be happening. Ron Klain, who is the chief of staff to President Biden, needs to squash this. This is where the chief of staff calls his folks together and say, cut the bullshit. The last thing that needs to be happening right now are all of these stories that are circulating that are attacking the vice president. You see the poll numbers, 28% that people are saying, oh my God, lowest ever. And now you see the Washington Post, they're touting Pete Buttigieg. You're talking about a cabinet member who is far down the totem pole, and folks are saying, oh, maybe they should replace Harris with him in 2024. If the people who are in the White House and the people who used to work for Kamala Harris can't shut their damn mouths, well, then you know what? Y'all are going to make it real easy for Republicans to win in 2024. And for every single person who's in the White House who keeps talking about, oh, what's going to happen in 2024, you need to be focusing on 2022 before you start focusing on 2024. And I said this here, and then you had this idiot Glenn Greenwald, who pretty much is nothing but, if you want to see him talking, all you got to do is just watch Tucker Carlson with his nonsense. He actually took exception to a tweet that I sent out today. His exception was that if you want to see what's happening with the Democratic Party. So what happened was Michael Harriet actually had tweeted something out saying that you're going to see potentially the Democrats trying to replace Harris with Buttigieg, and I actually responded to that particular tweet. Let me find it right now because I just want to show you what's going on here. And see, you need to understand what's happening here. If people did not somehow see Vice President Harris as a threat, you would not have the constant attacks on her. And that's exactly what you're seeing. It's constant, one after the other, one after the other. They're portraying her as being a doofus, somebody who's clueless, someone who doesn't know what's going on, all of that, okay? So, those are the things that you are seeing that actually takes place. And the reason this really is important is because clearly there are people who are afraid of her for some reason. Remember all the attacks that took place when she was running for office? Remember how it was when the troll farms that were specifically castigating her, tearing her apart, ripping her to shreds? Y'all do remember that taking place. So now all of a sudden you have more of this. Now all of a sudden it's, oh, she's not up for the job. And then the one that really just got me just hilarious, got me laughing is, oh my goodness, she's disappeared. How has she disappeared when she's literally been involved in numerous meetings? President Biden has talked about the role that she played in the Build Back Better plan dealing with Congress. She just got back from France, a very successful trip. Here's a tweet right here. So Michael Harriet had tweeted, they finna leapfrog Pete Buttigieg over Kamala Harris. Watch. I responded, if the Democrats want to see a black female revolt, go ahead and try this. You're guaranteed to lose. So this idiot Glenn Greenwald goes, Democratic Party politics in 2 tweets. Well, actually, it's right, Glenn. Because, see, I'm telling y'all right now, and this is for all the folks in the White House and the folks who used to work for Vice President Harris who keep running their mouths. The last group y'all want to piss off are black women. There is no group that is more aligned with the Democratic Party than black women. Nobody. Not black men, not white women, not white men, not Latino men, not Latino women, not Asian men, women, Native Americans, folks who are Jews, Christians. I can go down every single group. There is no group that's more in line with the Democratic Party than black women. But if y'all try to sabotage the first black female vice president, that's not going to bode well for sisters. Now, you got people out there who say, oh, well, black folks don't really like Kamala Harris. People hate Kamala Harris. All right, go ahead and mess around and see what happens. Because your margin for error right now ain't that great. And I'm telling you right now, play this game and you're going to wake up and see what happens. Because, see, here's the deal. It don't take 30% of black women for you to lose walking away. It don't take 20. It doesn't take 10. It doesn't take 5. If the Democrats lose just 3% of black women by trying to screw with Vice President Harris, y'all DOA. So go ahead and play the game if you want to. Melanie, I want to bring you in because, again, as somebody that's been around politics, you see these stories. Of course, you're the convener of the Black Women's Roundtable. And it's like every 2 months, it's another story. Dysfunction. Oh, my goodness. She's lost. She's disappearing. We don't know what's going on. I follow the White House Twitter feed. I follow hers. I see photos. I see videos. I see all sorts of things. I see action she's taking. But here's the other deal. It ain't like I saw Joe Biden all over the place when he was Obama's vice president for 8 years. Hell, I can't even remember how many times Obama would have Biden standing at his side when he gave speeches or even speaking before him. I've seen more of that under Biden with Harris than I saw with Obama and Biden. What do you take of these constant attacks trying to portray Vice President Harris as being utterly clueless?
Roland, I'm going to say everything you said in these last few minutes, ditto, ditto, ditto. Now, when it comes to how some in the media are attacking her, that's one of the reasons one of the people I was with today was Joe Taker Edie with Win with Black Women. That's why we got together around Win with Black Women when they were attacking all, not just now Vice President Harris, but all the Black women who were up for consideration for Vice President just last year, right? So and understanding how women are attacked, but trust and believe, Black women are paying attention and are going to push back. And we got to push back in a systemic way as well, Roland, because at the end of the day, we have to go have conversations with some of these media folks, conglomerates, what is going on really with these attacks. Now, at the end of the day, we can support and challenge at the same time. We want this administration to do more. That's why we're out here continuing to fight for voting rights. We're continuously fighting for Build Back Better and other policy priorities, and we will continue to do that. But also, we know when the game is not even the word fair is strong enough. But when there is an attack, the attack on her in the way that it's going, it's an attack on Black women. It's an attack on us owning our power. And so I tell sisters, what they're doing with us, trying to do to Vice President Harris is an attack on Black women asserting our power, not just for ourselves, but for our communities. So it's also up to us to push back on what we're seeing with some of the things that are going on with the media. The attacks, the words, words matter, right? And you hear enough. Remember what they did to Hillary Clinton over time. And so people look up and they don't even, and then our own people will be the ones parroting some of this stuff and not being able to understand that they're being manipulated.
And I'm glad you brought up the Hillary Clinton point, because I need people to understand when a media narrative gets established and it gets set in stone, it is very hard to shake loose of that. That dogged Hillary Clinton in both of her presidential runs, when she was U.S. Senator, when she was Secretary of State, and was always there. And there seems to be a very clear game plan here. Again, here we are, we're 10 months in, and already we've seen 4 or 5 major stories. She comes off of this huge trip to France. And then folks like, oh, it barely caused a ripple. Well, here's the question, mainstream media. Did you cover it? Did you cover it? So don't say, well, it barely caused a ripple if you didn't even cover it.
Roland, I tell you, and we all have to fight back against this narrative. I as a Black woman, and you said it, I've been in this a long time, and I've seen it. And what's going on with her is an attack on making sure that she or any other Black woman or any other woman of color or any other woman thinks that they can be in position of power. She's one sneeze away from being the president of the United States. And the attacks that I saw, I think it was CNN, one of them, yesterday, it was really appalling. Even some of the commentary was off the mark. And again, unfair is not even the word. It is a systemic attack, and we have to push back on that. At the same time, this is one president at a time. She's not the president of the United States. She is the vice president of the United States. So she is also there as a partner on this administration. And so whether her numbers are a little bit lower than his, now they're all low right now because they've got to get more done. That's just the reality. And so.
Well, absolutely. And so, again, I just want our viewers and listeners to understand what is at play here. These stories are being dropped for a reason. And again, this is where the White House, damn the tweets sent out last night affirming their support. No, this is where the White House Chief of Staff calls the staff together and say, shut the hell up. Focus on the work. You do not form a circular firing squad against our own. And that's what Ron Klain needs to do.
Yeah, and they have to do what they do on the inside, and we have to also put the pressure from the outside.
Yep, Melanie Campbell, we sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot. I'm going to go take a break right now. I'm going to come back and we're going to talk about this with my panel. And one of the things that I want to talk about is that the White House, in terms of the vice president's staff, they need to have her far more aggressively talking to Black media. I will unpack and explain when we come back on Roland Martin Unfiltered right here on the Black Star Network.
Betty is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now, she's free to become Bear Hug Betty. Settle in, kids. You'll be there a while. Ooh, where you going?
I'm Bishop T.D. Jakes.
How y'all doing? It's your favorite funny girl, Amanda Seals.
Hi, I'm Anthony Brown from Anthony Brown and Group Therapy.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, welcome back. Let's continue our conversation in terms of all of these different attack ads and these stories and the attacking Vice President Kamala Harris. Here's something that also has to happen, and I've made this perfectly clear to this White House as well. How in the world you have Vice President Kamala Harris and she does not have a regular presence with Black media? Now, let me explain that, folks. One, you always shore up your base, and that is you're communicating with your base. What this White House should be doing, they should ensure that she is the lead person who is talking to Black radio, to Black TV. What I mean by that is, you take the nationally syndicated radio shows. Look, I spent, 11 years, 13 years with Tom Jones Morning Show. Every 3 months, Vice President Harris should be on Steve Harvey Show, Ricky Smiley Show, Doug Parr Show, Joe Madison, Erica Campbell Show, should be on D.L. Hughley Show, should be on these nationally syndicated radio. Now, I get the strategy of having her on local radio stations in these markets. But black people should be hearing from her on a regular basis. Now, y'all remember, I said this after she became the United States Senator and then in the 2016 election. I said that she and Senator Cory Booker should have been doing this here. I said one of the reasons why they were not as well known among African Americans across the country is because they didn't do this when they were in the United States Senate. Obama wasn't going to speak everywhere, but you should do that. Now, let me take y'all back to something because y'all may not realize this. The day before he was inaugurated, President Obama was on the Tom Joyner Morning Show. I was at Ben's Chili Bowl. We were live there, and I remember the conversation. Do y'all realize that Obama did not come back on the Tom Joyner Morning Show until 18 months later? Yeah. He had done an interview with Brian Williams for NBC on the anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And I sent an email to Valerie Jarrett saying, how in the hell has he been president in all of 2009, and here we are into September 2010, and he has yet to come back on the Tom Joyner Morning Show? I said, when y'all gonna come home? Y'all, this actually happened, okay? So let me further unpack this, okay? I need you to understand, because y'all might not realize what happened here. I said, we've had Michael Steele on Tom Joyner more during the Obama presidency than Obama. Y'all think I'm lying? Go back, and so the next week, he was on Tom Joyner. The Indeed Steve, Joe Madison. But go back and listen, if you can, to pull that interview he did with Tom Joyner, where he apologized for not coming back. See, always come home and talk to your base, because if you don't keep your base informed, then you're gonna have a bigger problem with everybody else. The thing here, Omakongo and to Eugene and Tammy, is people have to understand this is politics. And if you don't lock down your base and keep them informed, you're not gonna have folk there to have your back when you need them.
That part.
I think it's really sad. I mean, I hear you talking about it every week, and then every time you say it, I start to go and look at all of the other shows you mentioned, and no presence whatsoever. And I'm thinking about the people like Simone Sanders and Cameron Jean-Pierre who are involved with her, and how this message is not getting across. It's very problematic because we haven't seen Harris or Biden since the campaign. And there's also an ecosphere out there where some aspects of black media or people who are involved in black media, I'm thinking of shows like The Breakfast Club and the like, are, putting out other stories. I'm not saying they're doing it intentionally, but, they ask questions that can make some of their listeners doubt what's going to happen as it relates to Vice President Harris and some of their policies and the like. And she should be showing up in all of these areas. Like I said before, Sean Hannity has former President Trump on speed dial. President Trump, when he was president, he was running for office. You know this, Roland, he was calling local AM stations, terrestrial radio, giving these guys a platform. Why is this administration not doing this? At the end of the day, you see that many black people I'm speaking to and listening to, they're starting to get a little bit turned off with the administration, particularly over things relating to these voting rights. And slowly but surely, if they don't take advantage of the great opportunity that they have with black media platforms, people are going to start to think that they are not fully interested in us. Because when I hear her on other stations and local interviews, I don't really feel like she's talking to me. But when she comes here and when she comes to these other platforms, I know that there's a message for me. And going in, look, 2022 and 2024 is the Democrats to lose. They can lose this. They got to get strict with the messaging, and they got to, like you said, come back home to black outlets, because we are where it's at, and we are going to magnify their message. But if we don't know, we can't show.
Now, Tammy, I need people to understand here. I'm not sitting here, man, why is she not coming on my show? I am speaking of a broader messaging strategy that has to be consistent. And so here you have this $1.2 trillion bill that's being passed. Who should be the person that the White House is sending to communicate this to Black America. It should not be mayors. It should not be the CBC members. In fact, I got an email to, let's see if I can pull it up. I got an email today, and I understand, again, I understand messaging, but this is what, let me see if I can pull it up. We were offered a series of names to talk about, to do interviews today. And I totally get it because the bill was being signed today, okay? And this is it right here. They offered up St. Louis Mayor Tashara Jones, Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms of Atlanta, Mark Morial, CEO of National Urban League and former mayor of New Orleans, Ron Busby, president of the U.S. Black Chambers, Inc., Dr. Barbara Williams Skinner, president of the National Black Clergy Network. Totally get that. I agree with this. What I am saying, now that the bill is being signed, there should be a clearly defined Black media strategy, a Latino media strategy, alongside your mainstream media strategy, so your stakeholders are getting the information directly from someone who is high up in the administration, and why not make it the vice president?
Absolutely, Roland. And there's so much to unpack. I don't want to go too deep, but as a Black woman attorney as well, we talked about with Melanie, the attacks that she's going through right now and the in-house fighting between the president and the vice president's camp. But in real life, I'm kind of happy that it's happening, because what it's doing is it's showing the world. It's highlighting what happens to most Black women in any profession, where no matter how much we accomplish, no matter how many credentials we have, no matter what we do, we are still ignored. As you stated, she just came back from France, and there's barely any coverage on that. But then people want to cover the inner turmoil in the White House between her camp and the president's camp, and her former staff talking. Why highlight the drama? Because Black women are typically seen as being angry and dramatic and all of that. So to that, I think that your point of her having more opportunity to speak to underrepresented groups, Black people, brown people, to be the voice, to be on these types of platforms, to deliver the message, where she can kind of address that, not necessarily hitting the nail on its head and putting a flashlight on the bias that we already know exists, right, as a Black woman in her place, but she can make points to where the base, as you stated, understands what is so important, so they can continue to vote, so that we can win 2022 and 2024, while simultaneously addressing the inherent bias that she's continuing to face. And yes, while a lot of Black women feel a certain kind of way about this vice president, at the end of the day, like you said, one thing about Black women that are Democrats, we play that game like the GOP, where we gonna stick together now. We gonna put our strategy together and put our feelings aside in order to see the party win and move forward strongly, so that we can turn these red districts blue and turn these red states blue, because that's the end goal. The end goal is to reform, so that we can finally have some type of equal playing ground. But as you stated, she's gonna have to speak up, and whenever she speaks up, she needs some media training, because it don't be given what it's supposed to have gave when she talks. They're not feeling it.
Well, the thing here, Eugene, again, when you hear, oh my God, she's in hiding, first of all, that's not true. But there should be a media strategy. Look, you use the vice president for a lot of stuff the president can't do. Media is a part of it. Now, she went on The View, wasn't her fault. They screwed up with the testing, and it was a false positive, and that's destroyed the whole show, whatever. But there should be a serious media strategy, and what I'm laying out is one that should be consistent. That way she's out there, she's talking these things up, and people are hearing from her on a regular basis. This is not about protecting her. It's about actually having a consistent message that people are getting, so you're not sitting here having these yahoos in Virginia go, oh, I really want somebody who's going to focus on education, you know, and our kids in COVID, and that's what the White House has been doing, and it was more than Trump folks did, but they voted for Youngkin over the Democrat.
Look, it's a couple things to unpack here, right? I think first and foremost, the advisors that are in the president's orbit that are calling the shots here, because that's what this comes down to a lot of times, is folk that are deputy to Ron Klain, right? That are calling a lot of these shots, that are creating a lot of this friction and tension, that are, you know, at least creating a perception that the vice president's missing in action. The first thing needs to be understood is that, you know, the portfolio the vice president has is one that the president gives her. The flexibility to do what she needs and do what she wants and do what she has to all comes from the authority of the president, right? So that's the first thing that needs to be established. Next is this, right? This White House better get it together. You know, because what they're coming across is that, hey, this White House staff doesn't care about black people. You know, at the point in time, you can't have an asset as valuable as Kamala Harris, you know, somebody that's a two-term AG, United States Senator elected statewide, now the first African-American vice president of the United States, on your as your prime asset, and you don't properly deploy her and empower her to do what's necessary to win, right? So that's what's coming across here. And it's the same mistake that the Obama administration made. You know, the legacy of Barack Obama's team, you know, and largely over time, a white team, white advisors surrounding, you know, the first black president, and disengaging from black America, is that, hey, in the 2010 midterms, yeah, the House flipped, but you know what happened before that? Chris Christie got elected in deep blue New Jersey, and then what happened after that? You lost 1,000 seats at the state and local level, you know, because black voters either decided to cross over in some margin or stayed home. You know, and that's part of the legacy of the Obama era of disengaging from the black community. So if the Biden administration wants to repeat that and having the asset of Kamala Harris that can go into any district, any state, make any argument, one of the brightest legal minds this country has ever seen, then that's the mistake they're going to make. But, you know, they should be spending much less, I agree, spending much less time figuring out what's going to happen in 2024, especially if they decide they're going to place her with the white guy. They need to be focused on what happened in 2022, a la getting voting rights done, a la getting the George Floyd Justice Act done, a la getting, you know, another economic package done. If they're serious about even being able to do anything beyond 2022.
You know, on McCongo, I give you a perfect example that, again, I don't understand what the hell this White House is doing. There's a black woman who is the head of the White House Council of Economic Advisors. Her name is Dr. Cecilia Rouse. Now, if y'all watch Roland Martin Unfiltered, y'all have seen her on this show. Last week, I sent an email to the White House. No, I sent an email to her. Said, hey, love to have you on. Boom. Got it done, recorded the interview. We had it on the show. No issues. Yesterday, I see this clip, and one of the other White House economic advisors was on Jake Tapper's show. First thing I said is, why y'all not putting the sister out, who is the head of the White House Council on Economic Advisors? Let me give y'all another thing that y'all don't realize. She was a member of the White House Council of Economic Advisors under President Obama. They signed the stimulus bill. I need y'all to understand, this actually happened. I kept asking the Obama White House, send somebody to me, black, to talk about the stimulus bill. They eventually sent me some brother who was like Deputy Secretary of HUD. I was like, what? Y'all, straight up true story. We were at Congressional Black Caucus Foundation ALC Phoenix Awards dinner. And I'm talking to my man, my golf buddy, former mayor of Dallas, then the trade ambassador under Obama, Ron Kirk. Ron says, Roland, man, you got to meet this bad sister, Cecilia Rouse. I said, who is she? He said, she's one of Obama's White House Council of Economic Advisors. I said, say what? He said, yeah. He said, man, you got to meet her. We walk over. We meet. I said, hold up. You been in the White House All this time? All this time? I ain't seen you on TV nowhere. I gotta have you on my show. She was like, love to come on. Y'all had her on the show. I want y'all to Google Cecilia Rouse. Cecilia Rouse. What you would discover during the Obama administration, she did my TV One show more than any other show. I was like, why are y'all not putting this brilliant woman out? Here we have been having economic conversations, a $1.2 trillion infrastructure bill. These discussions about inflation, discussions about the supply chain. I don't understand why the White House is not putting this brilliant black woman out. And all of a sudden, if you watching, if you black, be like, yo, damn, she is the head of the White House Council on Economic Advisors. You can't tell me she's afraid to do TV when she's done my show numerous times. This is what I'm talking about, Oma Congo. Like, what the hell are they thinking over at the White House?
I don't think they are thinking. And you know what, actually, let me rephrase that. I think that similar to what we've talked about with Youngkin and education, there's this idea of like appealing to like, white suburban moms and so on and so forth. I feel like the Biden administration still acts as if they have to appeal to a white suburban demographic, even though white people haven't voted majority for a Democratic candidate since the Voting Rights and Civil Rights Act of the 60s. And they keep playing to that audience. So that explains exactly what we're talking about as it relates to CNN. And look, we have to understand that when you have sisters like that, when you have sisters like Vice President Kamala Harris, there's another group that we need to talk about here right now, black men, right? Black men came out in large numbers during the last election. We know not in the same numbers as black women, but fairly high. And I think that brothers also need to see people like Ralph sitting down with you and Joe Madison and the like, so they can start to see that how y'all interact with her and understand that she's cool and she's down, because we know that once these Republicans and the Foxes networks of the world start to get hold of these stories about dysfunction in the White House between Harris and Biden, they are going to start to amplify it and amplify it and amplify it, that messaging that you're talking about, and start feeding these stories. And you're going to have some brothers out there who might see that and start to be like, well, dang, maybe she ain't really about it, right? And so if they don't take advantage of this messaging, again, 2022, 2024 is there to lose. And isn't the person who runs the EPA a brother as well? The Biden administration needs to stop being timid about putting black faces out there. Like you absolutely said, he does a great job of putting Vice President Harris out there in terms of speaking before he speaks and the like, but they need to come home to our networks so we can see them on a regular basis and decide for ourselves what they're about. Because if not, there are too many other narratives, like you said with Hillary Clinton, that are already forming that are going to be used to work against her.
I'm trying to tell y'all. All right, I gotta go to a break. We come back, I'm gonna talk with the attorney of a young black kid. What these white kids wore KKK costumes for Halloween, and nobody did nothing? Really? We'll unpack. Next, the Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Are the stars out tonight?
Alexa, play our favorite song again.
Okay.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice.
Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
Pick something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable.
That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Once upon a time, there lived a princess with really long hair who was waiting for a prince to come save her. But really, Who has time for that?
Let's go. Feeling myself. I'm feeling
She ordered herself a ladder with Prime one-day delivery, and she was out of there.
I want some hood girls looking back at it and a good girl in my tax bracket.
Now, her hairdressing empire is killing it. And the prince? Well, who cares? Prime changed everything.
What's up, y'all? I'm Will Packard.
Hello, I'm Bishop T.D. Jakes.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Fifteen-year-old Kadaja Lindsay was last seen on October 4, 2021. The teen has been missing from Rockford, Illinois. She's 5'3" tall, weighs 160 pounds, with black hair and brown eyes. She has a nose ring. If you have any information about Kadaja Lindsay, please call the Rockford Police Department at 815-966-2900, 815-966-2900. On Friday, I shared with you a story about a black teen in Woodsboro, Texas, who claims he was shot with a stun gun by a group of his white classmates dressed up as KKK members for Halloween. Well, what's really going on with this story? Matthew Manning is the teen's attorney. He hails from Corpus Christi, Texas. He joins us right now. Matthew, glad to have you on the show. So what happened here? So was this at school? Was this in the neighborhood? And these were white teens wearing KKK costumes?
Yeah, let me clarify, Roland, and let me first say I'm really honored to be here with you this evening, brother. But basically, this was a group of students who targeted my client on Halloween night who were dressed in KKK outfits. It was a group of people that some had KKK outfits on and others didn't, and it was a group of Hispanic and white teens. But he was tased by one of them after they accosted him, and we're here talking about it because as unfathomable as it is, it nonetheless happened in 2021. So when I was made aware of the case by one of my other clients, I immediately went to social media, started investigating it as much as I can as a non-law enforcement officer. And citizens came out and gave me information, and we were able to break the story open and really make sure that law enforcement looked at this the way they should.
So, okay, so where did this take place? Was it in a neighborhood? Was it at a party? What was the actual setting?
Sure. So it took place in a neighborhood on a residential street, which I visited yesterday, as a matter of fact. And what happened is it occurred during the course of trick-or-treating. So I know you're a Texan, and I know you know the term one-horse town. Woodsboro is a very, very, very small town. You can literally see across the city. And kids were out trick-or-treating, my client being one of them, out with a group of friends. And this group was out menacing a number of students that all went to various schools there in Woodsboro, and looked for my client, found him, and tased him. It's that simple. It occurred out on the street in a residential neighborhood.
Okay. Are there photos and video of these kids wearing KKK Halloween costumes?
Yeah, they're actually both. I viewed the video, and it's really important to say, Roland, that the video corroborates 100% what my client both told law enforcement and what he told me. And as you can imagine, this is a video that was disseminated and immediately deleted by the person who recorded it. So, law enforcement had to do a little bit to find it, but once they found it, I was able to view it, and it does, in fact, corroborate my client's account.
This neighborhood, is it a mixed neighborhood? Is it predominantly white neighborhood? What's the racial makeup of this neighborhood?
So the racial makeup is predominantly white and Hispanic. There's a very small percentage of black citizens there.
Very small, what, less than 5, less than 3, 2%?
I couldn't give you the number, but I would be surprised if it were over 5%. It's very small. It tracks Corpus Christi, which is about 6% black citizens, so somewhere thereabouts.
Okay, so these kids' parents, where in the hell were they?
I don't know. And what's interesting about it is a number of citizens, primarily white citizens, saw it and were outraged and immediately called the police. And that's been really the seminal question is how on earth do kids go out trick-or-treating dressed as Klansmen and not be noticed by their own parents? Which begs the question, of course, is this the kind of thing you're learning at home? Because it doesn't seem like you would do that unless you felt you had license to do that, particularly in such a small insular community.
Okay, so did they attempt to hit him with the stun gun? Was he actually shocked? How long did this last?
Yeah, he was actually shocked. So the entire encounter, what I saw, was a little bit over a minute, at least the recorded portion, and he was shocked during the course of that encounter.
And are y'all pursuing charges against these kids for assault, and have they actually been charged?
So they haven't been charged yet. Law enforcement is still working the case, but that's exactly what I was doing last week with the prosecutor. I'm a prior prosecutor myself, and I sat down with the prosecutor and delineated to him every single charge I thought was supported here. And what's really important for people to know is that, in my opinion, having tried hundreds of cases, this is about as textbook as it gets to the charges that I think should come forward, which are not only an assault charge, but also what's called engaging in organized criminal activity, which is essentially a charge that you put on defendants that have colluded together to conspire to commit a crime. So it's a statute that basically codifies the law of parties here in Texas and says if you combine with other people and you go commit a crime, not only are you guilty of the underlying crime, but you're guilty of a higher level of punishment, the same way you are here when you're guilty of a hate crime, which is what this would constitute under Texas law.
Wow, it's an absolutely outlandish story. And again, last point, what was the actual date when this happened?
So this happened on Halloween night.
So here we are more than 2 weeks later, and they still haven't been charged.
They have not been charged yet, and the worst part, Roland, is I know you had a little graphic there. The school had the audacity, the school that they all attend, had the audacity to put out a statement that said they couldn't discipline the students because this occurred off campus. Well, unfortunately for them, I'm a lawyer that actually does my job, and I looked at their school code of conduct, and it specifically prescribes that they can not only suspend, but they can actually expel for conduct that happens off campus. So really the school's immediate response was the one that infuriated me because it evinced really just a desire to not do anything. Law enforcement taking a little longer doesn't surprise me as much because they want to do the thorough investigation, and we want them to do as thorough an investigation as possible.
Wow, that is certainly incredible there, what took place there. Matthew, we appreciate it. Thank you so very much for joining us and explaining what took place.
Thank you, Roland. Have a good night.
All right, thanks a bunch. You know, this is the kind of stuff, it's amazing when I look at all of these folks out here, Eugene, who all up in arms over critical race theory, ain't been taught. When now they all mad today because the book, the 1619 Project, came out. Now they all up in arms. But it's amazing how all those folks ain't said a damn thing about stories like this.
And look, they won't say a damn thing about stories like this because it doesn't fit their narrative, it doesn't rally their base, and it actually forces them to concede a point that, hey, racism still exists in this country. But look, I'm of the belief that, if let's switch out KKK outfits for a Muslim garb, and let's switch out a stun gun with a different device. Those kids have been charged with terrorism. And I think that's what happened here. That this is a terrorist attack, a terrorist event, and these kids need to be hit with terrorist charges. You don't throw on no KKK outfit and then go and attack somebody with a deadly weapon, which a stun gun is. We've seen it time and time again when police deploy against people. So yes, in my eyes, what occurred here is a white rage terrorist incident.
And again, Tammy, it's just we're just operating in this world where these people keep saying, "Oh, y'all just too touchy about these things." Who the hell lets their kids wear KKK uniforms? And you know what? Let's call out those parents.
That part, and I'm here in Texas as well, and I heard about this, and that was the first thing that I thought, where are the parents? And apparently it was not just the one individual that was stunned. These people in these KKK costumes allegedly were terrorizing at least 5 other students that also attended that school. But if we're looking at charges against the individuals that attended the high school and stunned the black boy, we also need to be looking at charges against the parents.
Only makes sense. Only makes sense, Congo.
Absolutely. And look, let's be real. I believe that these students also played in a football game or something a couple of days later.
Yep.
And so I'm glad the attorney brought up having read the school policy, because schools absolutely, I work in public, private, and charter schools across this country. Schools absolutely hold students accountable for off-campus behavior. And so between their parents doing nothing, the schools doing nothing, 2 weeks after the fact, and the police are dragging their feet, these kids right now are living a scot-free life right now. And look, if they didn't even say anything when they tased this brother, the fact that they're walking around with Klan outfits, we're already in hate crime area right now. And so this is really tragic. I'm glad this has been promoted to a national level, because we may need to go down there and give some more action to make some things happen. But it seems like at every juncture, people are already starting to drop the ball to protect these boys when a young man was literally tased. We're not just talking about chants of, N-word or this or that, which would be bad enough. Physically assaulted, nothing happening to date. This is ridiculous.
Absolutely. All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back, we'll talk the end of the Blackburn takeover at Howard University. The students who are protesting have signed an agreement with Howard University administrators. We will tell you exactly what that is when we come back right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Are the stars out tonight?
Alexa, play our favorite song again.
Okay.
I only have eyes for you.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
I'm Chrisette Michelle.
Hi, I'm Chaley Rose, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
After 30 days, the Blackburn takeover at Howard University is now over. Today, the students involved in the protest held a news conference that was exclusively covered and live streamed by Black Star Network that detail this particular agreement. I want to play a large portion of that news conference for you. And remember, they were protesting housing conditions. They were complaining about mold, rats, roaches, and other issues at Howard University. Here is what they had to say today.
Give me a countdown.
5.
Let's get it, guys.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Good morning. This morning, the Howard University Blackburn protest, student leadership and students executed the remaining portion of a memorandum of understanding with the university. While the terms of the agreement are, specific terms are confidential, it can be said without any hesitation or reservation that the students courageously journeyed on a path towards greater university accountability and transparency and public safety and their disagreement marks a meeting of the minds between them regarding the issues of concern. So while they will not speak specifically about what's in that agreement, I'm going to be turning it over to the 3 Seminole student leaders during this protest and ask them to give remarks. I'm going to start, please, with Anaya Vines.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and supporting us for the past 33 days. October 12th was the day Howard Bison said enough is enough. After previous demonstrations, the Live Movement National Team, the Young Democratic Socialists of America Howard University chapter, and Bison decided that they would not move until administration understood that our voices mattered. We were fed up, we had enough, and we were ready to make change for our beloved Howard University by holding administration accountable by any means necessary. We spent 33 days challenging the Howard University administration. We spent 33 days saying that not only did our lives matter, that our voices mattered, and our concerns mattered. We spent 33 days affirming and fighting for the first-class housing that Reverend Jesse Jackson said we were entitled to. We came, we saw, we declared, and we won. We won for Howard students. We won for Howard University, both historic Howard and the future Howard. And we won for our community. We challenged the lack of accountability. We challenged the lack of safety, and we challenged the lack of our ability to even say that there was a problem. And
at Beaches, everything's included for everyone.
All right, folks, I'm going to play that back. We had a tech issue. Okay, go ahead. Take it from now.
And hopefully, after I graduate, I can matriculate on the Howard Law. And hopefully, we won't have the same issues, because today is a new day for Bison everywhere. Today is a new day for the Bison sitting at the table and standing around us. Because tomorrow, the struggle continues, but these issues, we got what we came for. We got increased scrutiny.
All right, folks, Howard University issued this statement. They posted this on Twitter. You can pull it up, please. Howard University is pleased to announce we have come to an agreement with the students who occupy Blackburn and will share a longer message from Dr. Wayne Frederick on this topic later today. I have not seen that particular statement. I want to go to their Twitter page. I want to see if Wayne has released something. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. Yes, he did issue a statement. Give me 1 second, folks. I'm going to pull it up. All righty. He issued a video statement, so let's go ahead and play it.
Harriet's wildest dreams.
Good afternoon. About a month ago, a group of students began the occupation of the Blackburn building. They did so to raise awareness for their concerns about housing conditions at the university, as well as other issues that they voiced to me and my administration. I am pleased to share with you today that through ongoing dialogue and a desire to hear and address their concerns, the student protesters have agreed to end the Blackburn occupation and leave the building. I also expect non-student protesters to depart the surrounding area and to end their occupation of the campus. This is a welcome development and a necessary conclusion to a challenging few weeks for everyone involved. This type of protest to occupy a building and the negative effect of doing so were felt throughout campus. Protest drives change. I accept and applaud it. I do, however, struggle with a type of protest that jeopardizes student safety, the very thing that students said prompted their concerns. The health and well-being of students is the most important part of my job as president. As I have said before, even one issue in one of our residence halls is too many, and we will continue to remain vigilant in our pledge to maintain safe and best-in-class housing. We have so much more to accomplish together, and the future for all of Howard looks very bright. Our Howard Forward strategic plan, which was launched in 2019, will continue to guide our path and build upon our success as we transform the academy, research enterprise, and financial strength of the university to be best in class. It's not lost on me that that must also be met with empathy. Our 2020 Campus Master Plan speaks to our strategy to grow and invest in our beloved Hilltop, which will continue to improve the campus experiences for our students, faculty, and staff. The progress can only be achieved by coming together as one Howard, one Bison. As we close in on the Thanksgiving holiday, I'm encouraged and excited about the work we have accomplished and the work we will continue to do together to reinforce our beloved Howard University. We look forward to working collaboratively to address concerns and build a culture where all are heard. I will continue to open lines of communication and will hold my traditional State of the University address next semester, which has always included an open dialogue with the audience. Building an institution we can all be proud of requires work every day.
Folks, that was Wayne Frederick, the president of Howard University. This had gone on for quite some time, Omokongo, and I mean, obviously, it was constantly being, with the social media, national media, a lot of focus was placed on Howard University, and both sides wanted to bring this to a conclusion. And really, it was the alumni gathering. There were alumni who came to Howard on Saturday, including Newark Mayor Ras Baraka, who played a critical role in brokering this deal.
Yeah, it is great to see, and at the same time, it's just sad, Roland, because should have never come to this. I remember when you did the story a few weeks ago, and you were there, and you went inside, and I remember as an undergrad here in D.C., I wasn't a Howard student, but would go there often, and it was just sad to see. And I want to commend these young women leaders who stood strong in front of the university and brought this to national attention. And now that we are here, we just hope that everybody can just get better and stronger from this experience, because we're talking about our babies here, and they should never have had to be put in a position where they were not safe. I'm glad that the university did respond as it did, but Howard University has had so much great news over the last few months with Felicia Rashad, the Chatsworth building, and just the list, Ta-Nehisi Coates, the list goes on and on. But it seems like during this whole process that the students were neglected, and I'm glad that the students reminded the world that they come first. So kudos to them and the alumni who stood up for them.
Tammy, this was Newark Mayor Ras Baraka on Saturday. This is what Chuck Modi posted on his Twitter feed.
I love Howard. Howard is responsible for everything that I've been able to do in my life. Besides my mother and father, they deserve all of the credit, and Howard University. I'm just going to say that. And protesting was a part of my education at Howard University. Your protesting is a part of your education at Howard University. It is a part of it. It's not, I don't think we're going to have a time when people are not going to protest. I think it's a part of your coming of age at this university, your ability to see the world as it is. And once you begin to understand the world and understand yourself in it, you automatically begin to figure out that it is your duty and your responsibility to change it. And that you can't live in it the way it already exists, and it has to change, right? That becomes your responsibility. So protesting is a part of that. So I don't want you to feel like you're doing anything wrong, because you're not. What you're doing is in the tradition of thousands of people that came before you, even the people we named the buildings after, were also protesters, and they're in many different ways. So I just want you to be clear on that and not be shamed by people who want you to be embarrassed by the fact that you are standing up for what you think is right, and they want you to believe that this is against Howard's tradition. No, it is in Howard's tradition that you do this.
Tammy, Mayor Ras Baraka played a crucial role in going between the students and the administration and brokering this deal. And what you're seeing is not just at Howard University, other students. We talked about Tuskegee, how the students were sick and tired of the conditions with the band. Tuskegee responded, replaced the band director, and made other changes. Students are making it clear they're spending money on tuition and they want to use their voices.
It's amazing, Roland, the fact that these young leaders are using their voices and speaking up, speaking out about the conditions they're facing and demanding change. I am so proud of the students of Howard. You know, before moving back to Texas, I was a senior attorney at DOJ in Washington, D.C. for 10 years, and so many of my friends attended Howard, my mentees attended Howard, so to see what those students were able to accomplish and to see their alumni rally around them to help bring this to national media attention so that they could get the change they deserve is amazing. It's also amazing that other students at other HBCUs are following suit and using their voices to speak up and protest so that they can have the change that they need. It's so incredibly inspiring to see this younger generation just being very courageous.
Eugene?
Look, that video was hard to watch, right? I mean, that video made Travis Scott's video look like golden PR. This comes down to be really simple. The students want a PR font, so now the university actually has to take actual action. The words fall on deaf ears when you come in and you say, "Oh, the health and safety of the students matter, and we care about how they protest and protest in a way that doesn't, put in jeopardy health and safety of people." Well, they would be protesting if these problems weren't persistent problems. They aren't new problems, but they're persistent problems. And so at this point in time, I'm glad there's a resolution. I'm glad there's a settlement. I'm glad that there's an understanding. But it's time for action. And if this president and this board can't take proper action, or they aren't, or they're going to take negligent action, then they'll all be resigned and tossed out. You can't protect the quote-unquote greatness and legacy of an institution if its current day leaders are literally tarnishing that institution. Because at the end of the day, these universities will not exist without the students. Students paying tuition.
Well, I tell you, and also those the folks who were over the housing, as well as other areas, they also have been under intense pressure as well. And so we'll see what happens next. Got to go to a break. We come back. What happened today in the case of 3 white men on trial for killing Ahmaud Arbery? Their white defense attorney continues to antagonize and piss off black preachers. We'll discuss that next on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat.
Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on?
Sure, it's wireless.
It's something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password?
Buick Envision 2021.
Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable. That's a really tight spot. Don't worry, I used to hate parallel parking.
Me too.
Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Once upon a time, there lived a princess with really long hair who was waiting for a prince to come save her. But really, who has time for that?
Let's go. Feeling myself. I'm feeling
She ordered herself a ladder with Prime one-day delivery, and she was out of there.
I want some hood girls looking back at it and a good girl in my tax bracket.
Now, her hairdressing empire is killing it. And the prince, well, who cares? Prime changes everything.
Hi, I'm Gavin Houston.
Hey, what's up, y'all? It's your boy Jacob Lattimore, and you're now watching Roland Martin right now.
The white attorney for the 3 white men on trial for killing Ahmaud Arbery, he continues to white. That's what he's doing. Today, he actually, y'all, they tried to actually get the judge to declare a mistrial. Not because something the prosecution was doing, not some jury misconduct, because Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. was sitting in the courtroom. Watch this mess.
We need to move for mistrial.
I move for mistrial.
Based on?
Based on
the presence of people in the courtroom and the public gallery.
Your Honor, I have to stop for one moment. We have a witness now on the stand.
If you go ahead and sit down, thank you.
And I do actually very much appreciate the court helping me maintain a record on this. We formally moved for a mistrial under the 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendments of the U.S. Constitution, parallel provisions of the Constitution of the state of Georgia. We contend that the atmosphere of the trial, both inside and outside the courtroom, at this point has deprived Mr. Bryan of his right to a fair trial. I understand that co-counsel vehemently disagree on some aspects of that motion, and if they don't want to join, that's their business. But I represent Mr. Bryan, and my concern, Your Honor, notwithstanding what in my observation would be extraordinary efforts on the part of the court to avoid anything that would interfere with the right of these defendants to a fair trial. At the same time, in extraordinary cases like this, additional steps have to be taken. We have not secured the front of this courthouse. The Transformative Justice Coalition still flies their banner virtually every day outside in what should be protected grounds. Your Honor, we have had numerous instances during several instances during jury selection of nonverbal communications between the victim's family and jurors, or from juror to the victim's family. We've had several emotional outbursts during the trial of this case, notwithstanding the substantial efforts of the court to ensure that they don't take place. And we have had civil rights icons sitting in here in what the civil rights community contends is a quote-unquote test case for civil rights in the United States. Eyeballing these jurors, including one today with his mask down, which the court doesn't want to make part of the record. Under Supreme... I rephrased that. Didn't make part of the record.
Thank you.
Yeah, I rephrased.
You made it part of the record.
Well, until the court acknowledges it, it's not part of the record.
Keep going, Mr. Goff.
Your Honor, the case law out there in mob cases and other cases demonstrates all the ways that presence in a gallery can influence jurors in a case. And I certainly don't mean to suggest that Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson or any other pastor belong to a mob, but at the same time, we are talking about organized behavior by whoever outside the courthouse leading up to this case, where we have all these community leaders fearful that the city's going to burn down. This isn't a mob case. If you testify against a gangster, they might burn your house down. They might burn your business down. They're not going to burn your whole city down. And that is the concern that I believe jurors have expressed during the voir dire process in that a county commissioner, a mayor, school board member, a bunch of pastors in this community, both black and white, have been talking about. So in that context, we believe the totality of the circumstances, which is what this court looks at under Shepard v. Maxwell, under the totality of circumstances, this trial has been sufficiently infected, notwithstanding the best efforts of the court, to the point where Mr. Bryan's ability to receive a fair trial has become an open question. We think that line's been crossed. The court may see it differently, but we've made that for purposes of the record.
All right, it's in this court's discretion with regard to any outburst in the courtroom, taken into consideration, as well as the defendant's motion for a mistrial. So I cite to a couple cases. Let's see, Forney, I think it's Forney versus State, 255 Georgia, 316, which actually recognizes that emotions are neither unreasonable nor unexpected during a murder trial. And the demonstrations and outbursts which occurred during the course of the trial are matters within the court's discretion to evaluate. The court heard exactly what I described on the record, decided to remove the jury briefly, and it was ready to get started. Based on that outburst, the court is not granting a mistrial. As to the totality of the circumstances argument, which I think is the second argument that was presented by Mr. Goff, that gets back to what I'm starting to watch very carefully as far as what's going on in this courtroom with the jury, as well as the arguments that are being made by counsel. I'll point out that A number of times during jury selection, it was raised that jurors were being influenced by individuals outside the court. And I think it was either 4 or 5 jurors were asked specifically whether or not they were influenced in some way by what was going on outside the courtroom. And they were not. There was no, actually, if I remember correctly, they didn't even recognize or see what was going on outside the courtroom. And as counsel are aware, because I have briefed counsel, there are steps being taken by the court during the jury trial to ensure that jurors are not influenced by anything happening around the courthouse. So then we start getting into what we have now with individual members or individuals coming into the courtroom. I will say that is directly in response, Mr. Goff, to statements you made, which I find reprehensible. The Colonel Sanders statement you made last week, I would suggest may be something that has influenced what is going on here. In response to that, and to his credit, Mr. Sheffield made some comments, but did say, come one, come all. And so now the court is faced with balancing a lot of things going on outside this courtroom and doing it in a way that respects members of the public's right to be in the courtroom, as well as what I'm trying to put out there is a fair trial, right? So you need to understand, everybody, that your words in this courtroom have an impact on a lot of what's going on. And so my measured response at this point is to balance all of that out and try to move forward with the trial. I'm not granting a mistrial at this point based on these arguments that are being made, because I think, well, I'm not granting a mistrial at this point based on the arguments that have been made.
So the white attorney caused the whole uproar, and he's now complaining about the uproar. Joining us now is one of the attorneys for the Arbery family, Lee Merritt. Lee, this is beyond laughable to listen to this man, and he made some other comments where, well, Reverend Jackson, he doesn't, why does the Arbery family need him praying with them? They've got local pastors who can pray with him. And then for him to drop in here, oh, people are afraid they're going to burn the town down. It's going to be riot. This white attorney is throwing out every racist thought, every racist thing he can think of in order to get these racists off for killing Ahmaud Arbery.
No, that's exactly it. On the one hand, they're arguing that Wanda should be strong enough to sort of deal with seeing the grisly details of her son's murder by herself, without making any outbursts. Because a part of the motion to dismiss, the trial of a motion for a mistrial today included the fact that she let out a slight whimper when a picture of Ahmaud was introduced into evidence. And so, while she's dealing with this very difficult thing, they're saying that she not only does she have to deal with it quietly, she should also have to deal with it alone, and without the support of our full community. It's beyond. It used to be cute, it's no longer cute. This person is harassing a grieving mother during the murder trial of her son.
Well, and the thing that's just crazy to me is, well, why can't she get a local pastor to pray with her? Why does she need Reverend Jackson? Okay, he was eyeballing a juror.
Right, eyeballing a jury. Nonverbal communication is being alleged.
Okay, so the jury walks in. If the jury walks in that way, is Reverend supposed to do this here? Turn away and don't look at the jury?
And if you really look at the breakdown of the courtroom, there are 3 rows reserved for the 3 defendants and their family. Wanda's role is in the very back of the courtroom. So she occupies the last row with Marcus Arbery, Ahmaud's dad. And they each get one person to come in the courtroom with them. Typically, it's one of the attorneys in the case so that we gather all the evidence for the federal suit. And then there's a pastor who's helping them with the grieving process. But in front of them is the mother of the men who murdered her son, is the wives, the children. And then directly in front of them is of course, defense table with Travis McMichael, Gregory McMichael, Brian sitting there, the men who actually murdered her son, just feet away from her. And she's supposed to deal with all of this with no support and no noise.
Well, I don't know what his attorney thinks, but guess what? He's about to see a whole bunch of black preachers and black people on Thursday at 11 a.m. We are going to be in Brunswick, Georgia as well, live streaming that news conference. They're expecting a minimum of 100 black preachers. I'm hearing it could be as high as 200 or 300 who show up in Brunswick, Georgia as a major show of force. And so if this judge wanted to see some black preachers, he's about to get his wish.
And Roland, I have to. I've been speaking to Al about that. There are 200 confirmed pastors coming so far, and we expect that number to grow. We just want to emphasize as people come to the city of Brunswick, we encourage you to come stand with this family. Just know this is a solemn gathering. The media will be asking a lot of questions, and they're going to be looking for sound bites that appear to intimidate the jury. So we're asking everyone as they come to know that we're coming to grieve together with the family of Ahmaud Arbery. We're not really there to engage the media, and to the extent that we do, our message is the same. We're here as a show of support. We have every right to support and stand with a grieving family and a community during one of the most important trials of the century.
Well, we will certainly be there with our cameras as well. Lee Merritt, we sure appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
It really is incredible to listen to that white attorney, Tammy, make those comments, and specifically singling out black preachers. There are white preachers. There are Jewish rabbis who have been standing with this family, but no. Is black preachers. Don't want the black preachers in court.
You know what, Roland? You are absolutely correct. And this is the same attorney who earlier in the trial, he was talking about during jury selection, he mentioned how there were not enough pretty much uneducated white men on the jury because the jury needed to represent a cross-section of the defendant's peers. And he alluded to some of the arguments that, black people make whenever, we have been faced with all white juries and having these very egregious types of trials against us. And he's trying to flip it, so to speak, to cater his narrative for his white defendant. And he's the attorney, the one that we saw the clip of. That's the attorney for Roddy. And just so everyone understands and remembers, Roddy is the one who recorded the very gruesome murder of Mr. Arbery by Travis McMichael and Gregory McMichael. That's the father and the son. But this is ridiculous, and the attorney should be feeling very embarrassed because I believe that the judge's response to this motion for a mistrial was extremely proper. The judge has been coming across as fair and impartial and really has been trying to make sure that the trial is focused on both sides being able to present evidence and the jury being able to absorb that evidence and deliberate and come back with a verdict without any distractions. And I think this lawyer here, based off of the judge's response, the lawyer himself is the distraction at this point.
Oh, absolutely. And in fact, Eugene Omokongo, I just want to play for you, again, even more insulting comments that Kevin Gold said as Reverend Jackson sat in the courtroom. Listen to this.
The issue that Ray brought up previously is how many pastors does the Arbery family have? We had the Reverend Al Sharpton here earlier, last week, and I'm not keeping track, and I think the court has indicated the court doesn't intend to ask anyone to keep track of who was in the gallery. But I don't know who Mr. Jackson, Reverend Jackson, is pastoring here. My understanding is, and I was given names, that the Arbery family have local pastors. They also have attorneys. Mr. Arbery, Marcus, has a team of lawyers to comfort him through these proceedings. Certainly, Ms. Cooper has been amply comforted by her legal counsel. And we are concerned about whether it's conscious or unconscious, the impact of their presence with respect to the jury and with respect to the proceedings in this case. And I guess the next question is, which pastor is next? Is Raphael Warnock going to be the next person appearing this afternoon? We don't know. Your Honor, I would submit, with all respect to the Reverend Jesse Jackson, that this is no different than bringing in police officers or uniformed prison guards in a small town where a young black man has been accused of assaulting a law enforcement officer or corrections officer. As I have noted before, the city of Brunswick is indeed a fishbowl. Your Honor, I understand that the court, maybe I misunderstood the court the other day, but I think the court had indicated it was the court's understanding or assumption that the Arbery family is giving up seats in the public gallery so that these gentlemen may be present. With all due respect, Your Honor, the seats in the public gallery of a courtroom are not like courtside seats at a Lakers game. There are no First Amendment rights in the public gallery of a courtroom. There is no standing of any particular individual to be present in the public gallery of a courtroom. And there is no reason for these prominent icons in the civil rights movement to be here. This is a case that has been postured in.
So here's what's a trip to me, Congo. He's whining and complaining. Did you see the white woman who was in front of the Reverend Jackson? Now, you heard Lee Merritt say that the other rows reserved for other family members. That white woman's like, what the hell is this fool doing? You heard the judge also say, your other counsel, they disagree with you. The other guys like, man, if you don't sit your ass down, you about to make this thing worse for us.
It was sad, man. First of all, on a good note, I got to give props. This kind of connects to your last segment, quite honestly, because to see the young people protesting and to see our elders, Reverend Jackson, just shows that, we're in a really good space of where we're going and where we've been. So I wanted to give a shout out as it relates to that. But I feel like this lawyer, sort of like with the Rittenhouse judge, I feel like these guys are angling to be like their next Fox show contributors right now in terms of what they're doing. But I am a little bit concerned, Roland, that his antics are really going to influence this jury. He said, to go to what Tammy was saying earlier, we need more Bubbas, on the jury. And I feel like what he's doing might be successful. And that's the part that kind of scares me, because this judge is not being assertive enough in shutting him down.
Well, here's the deal. He's making the arguments outside the presence of the jury, but what he's also doing with the constant interrupting, Eugene, it does have an impact as well. He wants to disrupt the flow of the trial. And what's going to happen on Thursday, you're going to have a show of force, and he's going to be able to say, see, look at all these preachers here. Well, you open that can of worms, deal with it.
Look, you mess around, find out. And that's what's going to happen here. Look, the thing is this defense attorney has pretty much let us know that he's a racist above racist, right? And for what it's worth, he's running the conservative talk radio playbook. Demonized Jesse Jackson, demonized Al Sharpton, even brought in Raphael Warnock. I think, look, the next person to probably come comfort this family at the court case should be Senator Warnock. So the thing is this. I think this judge is proper in denying a mistrial. There's been nothing here to warrant a mistrial. If anything, it's been the defense's antics and tactics of trying to break the flow of the trial, trying to break the flow of the information being delivered to the jurors. And so, I'm looking forward to seeing the 200-plus pastors show up in force. And let's see what, this racist defense attorney that is showing his colors every day in his courtroom has to say about that.
Indeed. All right, folks, real quick, before I go to a break, the latest in the Kyle Rittenhouse case. The judge in that case has dropped the misdemeanor gun charge against Kyle Rittenhouse. George Bruce Schroeder dismissed one of the 7 counts after the defense argued Rittenhouse's AR-15 was longer than the illegal length of 16 inches, thus making it legal for the teen to have the gun in Wisconsin. In closing arguments today, the defense says the victim deserved to be killed because of his actions, but the prosecution argued that Rittenhouse was not acting in self-defense when he committed the crimes.
It has also instructed you on provocation. You cannot hide behind self-defense if you provoked the incident. If you created the danger, you forfeit the right to self-defense. By bringing that gun, aiming it at people, threatening people's lives, the defendant provoked everything. And if he does that, he has to exhaust all reasonable means to avoid a confrontation. All reasonable means. So if Joseph Rosenbaum's running at him, Joseph Rosenbaum is no threat to his life. And not only is the defendant expected to run, he's expected to yell, push, shove that rag doll around, run back for help, call 911, call for help, do all sorts of other things besides just turn and fire 4 shots.
Kyle shot Joseph Rosenbaum to stop a threat to his person. And I'm glad he shot him, because if Joseph Rosenbaum had got that gun, I don't for a minute believe he wouldn't have used it against somebody else. He was irrational and crazy.
Rittenhouse killed 2 men and gravely injured another during anti-racism protests in Kenosha, Wisconsin on August 25th, 2020. We'll keep you updated as the jury begins deliberations. A federal court has rejected the appeal for Oklahoma inmate Julius Jones and 3 other death row inmates set to face execution in the next few months. Jones is scheduled to die on this Thursday, unless Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt rules to grant clemency in his particular case. The Oklahoma inmate has received recommendations from the Oklahoma Parole Board for clemency and commutation, not once but twice. However, Stitt has not said a word on the case. All right, folks, got to go to a break. We come back. Beto O'Rourke, is he running for governor of Texas? He makes his announcement. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Maureen is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon, so now she's free to become Maureen the Merrier. Food is her love language, and she really loves her grandson. Like, really loves.
How y'all doing? It's your favorite funny girl, Amanda Seals.
Hi, I'm Anthony Brown from Anthony Brown and Group Therapy.
What up, Lana Well, and you are watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Former U.S. Congressman as well as U.S. Senate candidate Beto O'Rourke, he says he is ready to challenge Republican Texas Governor Greg Abbott in the race next year. He made the announcement official today.
I'm running for governor, and I want to tell you why. This past February, when the electricity grid failed and millions of our fellow Texans were without power, which meant that the lights wouldn't turn on, the heat wouldn't run, and pretty soon their pipes froze and the water stopped flowing, they were abandoned by those who were elected to serve and look out for them. It's a symptom of a much larger problem that we have in Texas right now. Those in positions of public trust have stopped listening to, serving, and paying attention to, and trusting the people of Texas. And so they're not focused on the things that we really want them to do, like making sure that we have a functioning electricity grid, or that we're creating the best jobs in America right here in Texas, or that we have world-class schools, or that we make progress on the things that most of us actually agree on, like expanding Medicaid or legalizing marijuana. Instead, they're focusing on the kind of extremist policies around abortion or permitless carry, or even in our schools, that really only divide us and keep us apart and stop us from working together on the truly big things that we want to achieve for one another. It's a really small vision for such a big state, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I know that together we can get back to being big again, because I saw that in February when the electricity grid failed and those in power failed all of us. It was the people of Texas who were willing to put their differences behind them and get to work doing the job at hand, which meant helping our fellow Texans get through that crisis. We did this out of a sense of duty and responsibility to one another. Now imagine if the governor of Texas felt that same way. Well, there's something that you and I can do about that. I want you to be part of this campaign. And whether that begins today with a campaign contribution, or signing up for a volunteer shift, or just committing yourself to talking with your friends and family about how important this election is, I want you on the team. And I want to win this with you and for all the people of Texas. I'm looking forward to seeing you out there on the campaign trail. Thank you.
Well, Tammy, Greg Abbott is facing challenges in his own party. A lot of people have been very unhappy with him in the state when it comes to the pandemic response, but also not allowing folks to invoke their own mask mandates. And so we know Beto can raise a whole lot of money. The question is, can he rally Texas Democrats and put them over the hump to beat Greg Abbott? Your thoughts?
You know, as a fellow Texan, Roland, we all felt Beto O'Rourke's impact whenever he ran in 2018 against Ted Cruz and narrowly lost to him. So I think that Texas Democrats really need to rally around and support this campaign for governor for this Democratic candidate so that we can actually see some wins and a success of having him beat Greg Abbott, because a lot of Texans, including Republicans, have been, as you mentioned, very disappointed with the way Greg Abbott handled not only the winter storm in February, which paralyzed the state of Texas. I don't think that people truly understand how bad it was, how cold it was, and how many days we were without power. And that impacted not only Democrats, but also Republicans. And we saw a lot of bipartisan efforts being made. But I think that because the Republicans were unhappy with Greg Abbott's response, and they are no longer really liking this very extreme divisiveness from the Trump era. They kind of want to distance themselves from that.
Gotcha.
And he still is kind of reminiscent to that. I think that there's going to be a lot of support. And as long as the Texas Democrats rally around and get it together, we can turn Texas blue.
Bottom line here, Eugene, it's about raising lots of money, being able to rally the base. He came within 2.5 points of beating Ted Cruz. He's got his work cut out for him. But again, he has the advantage of having a lot of people who want to see him win and the ability to raise lots of money.
Look, he'll be able to raise money. He'll be able to organize people. He has a message. The question is, can he grab enough voters to cross over to win the election? The fun stuff of hard right, red meat issues are fun, but they don't matter if my house is cold in the dead of winter because of incompetency, or that I don't have flowing water coming in because of incompetency. When my basic needs are affected by somebody that is incompetent or provides incompetent leadership or decides to skip off to Cancun during the middle of a crisis, I don't care about any of the other fun stuff when my survival's at stake. And I think that, the one smart thing Beto's already done is lead off with the issue of what happened during the winter storm last year when the utilities essentially shut off, not because somebody didn't pay their bill, but because the government failed their people.
And look, the thing here, Congo, that's how you go after them, and you say, you fail. And then they tried to pass on the cost to fix the problem to the taxpayers. Yeah. Abbott, look, you keep hitting that could resonate with voters.
Absolutely. That was a very Biden-esque message from Beto, because we know that people are going to try to paint him as an extreme with his past comments about guns and so on and so forth. And look, one of the things he has going for him is these infrastructure bills. People he's going to be able to talk about, this is what's happening. I'm going to help continue these programs that you're starting to see come to our state. And I believe that if he continues on this kind of moderate style path, and as long as we protect the voting rights of the people of Texas and across the country, he has a chance of winning that next election.
All right, folks. So tight 1 second. Got to go to break. We come back. Fit, live, win. Talk about working out for your mental health. That's next. The Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Are the stars out tonight?
Alexa, play our favorite song again.
Okay.
Oh, that spin class was brutal. Well, you can try using the Buick's massaging seat. Ooh, yeah, that's nice. Can I use Apple CarPlay to put some music on? Sure. It's wireless. It's something we all like. Okay, hold on. What's your Buick's Wi-Fi password? Buick Envision 2021. Oh, you should pick something stronger. That's really predictable. That's a really tight spot. Don't worry. I used to hate parallel parking. Me too. Hey.
Really outdid yourself.
Yes, we did.
The all-new Buick Envision, an SUV built around you, all of you.
Betty is saving big holiday shopping at Amazon. So now, she's free to become Bear Hug Betty. Settle in, kids. You'll be there a while. Ooh, where you going?
It's Kim Whitley.
Yo, what's up? This your boy Ice Cube.
Hey, yo, Peace World. What's going on? It's the Love King of R&B, Raheem Devon, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
All right, folks, many people work out because they want to improve their physical health, improve their body. But how does it impact your mental health? My man Dooley out of Atlanta joins us right now. Dooley, how you doing? All right, I think you're on mute. Are you on mute? Talk. Talk, Dooley. Dooley, can you hear me?
Yeah, how you doing, Roland? I can hear you, man.
There you go. There you go. You could help us by taking that awful hat off, but that's another story.
Oh, man, come on, man, Roland. It's my week, brother. It's my week.
But what's that?
My whole week.
What do you mean your whole week?
Come on, man. Obviously, you know.
I don't.
Obviously, you know what this week is.
I don't.
It's the greatest fraternities in the world, Founders Day, and that's where I got this hat on for, Roland.
Oh, I think you're greatly confused. Because I thought you said it's the week. I mean, it is a great week considering my birthday was yesterday, so that's probably why I say great week. But trust me, it is not because.
That's why you share it with us. That's why you share it with us, man.
It's not because of that youth group that you belong to. All right, yeah, that junior fraternity. All right, so let's talk about this here. The idea of working out for your mental health. How so?
Well, you think about it, man. Like, we're talking about working out and improving the mood. We're talking about blood circulation. We're talking about all things flowing properly. That's why I said working out, and you know this to be true. Like I said, as you get older and as we start and stop being able to produce and do certain things, you got to find you something, man, to get that body flowing, get some circulation. Like, you got to think, everybody waking up stiff and sore and all that. That's why working out, keeping that body moving is so important, brother.
Well, look, I know some people who, I mean, they say, look, it allows them to step away. It allows them to free their mind up, by working out. Some do it by walking, by being able to, to walk outdoors. Because also the stress levels that with us also impact. People have depression. They have anxiety, and so I know many who say working out matters.
Yeah, and you think about it, you look at like the rates now, I'm sure that number has quadrupled since the pandemic. And that's why I was telling people when we was confined to the house for so long, and you look at it like, if you was to pull some numbers, I had some earlier too, I should have brought them, but you like that number is almost quadruple when you start thinking about anxiety and depression. So the number one way to free that up is, like you just said, man, getting active, working out, getting outside, and keeping that body moving.
It absolutely does matter. Eugene, you were doing that for a while, beating back your diabetes. Was it important for your mental health?
Absolutely. It was extremely important for mental health. Without it, probably had to sit here and go back and forth with you a couple years later.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Question, Tammy, Congo, what you got for Dooley?
Well, as someone who has a degree in exercise science from the University of Houston, I agree with everything that you're saying.
Yeah, hold on. You got a degree in, hold on, girl. How many jobs you got? You got a degree in exercise science. You a part attorney. You ran for Congress. How many jobs you got?
Sure did. That girl's credentials is long. My credentials are a CVS receipt. Theirs is a business card. She's done a lot of stuff. That's H-Town, hold it down. That's that H-Town. You know what I'm saying? I came
Exercise science?
Exercise science from the University of Houston. Sure did. I was a personal trainer before I went to chiropractic school. Sure did. But only did that for 1 year.
You only did it for 1 year. What happened? They drove you crazy?
Absolutely.
Listen, I was like, you know what? This is a lot of memorizing. Let me go to law school.
Yep.
All right. What's your question or statement for Dooley? Go ahead.
Dooley, so what types of exercises do you recommend for us busy professionals?
That's why you have to find something online. But like I said, you're not going to have time to get up in the gym. You very rarely have time to get leave the office. So you start thinking about you find something online. You can literally sit at your desk with your stapler, your phone, your water bottle, and get a complete workout in. You just got to find something to stimulate your brain. Like I said, you sitting there, you're doing the same things. You got to find something to challenge you. Like I said, physically, I literally can draw a workout up, keep going, Ron. Let's keep going. And then go out to the side now. You give me 100 of those. After that 99, you're going to be feeling it.
Hold up.
You got to find you something that fits your schedule.
I got a bottle of water, some hand sanitizer.
Just go like
Lord.
Give me a wide.
Absolutely.
Give me a wide shot, Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah, form is a little off.
Desk, use the hand sanitizer and use some water.
I love it. That's all you need. That's all you need. Hey, matter of fact, bro, just hold it. Just hold it.
Just hold it.
Just hold it.
Black power.
Amen.
There we go.
Congo, what you got?
So what would you say, Dooley? First of all, you're just awesome at everything that you're doing. What would you suggest for some dietary changes for people who are just getting into working out? What are some of the things they should be looking at either dropping or consuming less of on their journey?
And like we were talking earlier, I always tell people we do it blood type based. You got to do what works for you. Like I can sit up here and tell you what works for me. I'm O positive blood type, but you need to dig more too and what's flowing through your body. That's what we're made of, our blood types. So you need to eat based off your blood type. You need to diet based off your blood type. You need to find out what things your body are rejecting and things your body are retaining, and that's how you determine what you should and shouldn't be eating. I never tell people to eat or drink what I eat or drink. Because what I eat or drink ain't going to make you shit, like I always tell people. But I always tell people, let's eat based off what you got going on in your life, what you got going on with your blood type, and let's base it off that.
All right, then. So, again, folks, your mental health is important. And so, please, if you're going to exercise, don't do it just for physical. Also, do it for you to be able to get out and keep it straight. All right, Dooley, where can people reach you?
At Effect Fitness on Instagram, at Effect Fitness on Facebook. And if you get a chance, man, go download our app, Effect On Demand. Best app we got. Best thing smoking.
So last question for you. Okay, so what in the hell I do if I'm using my water bottle to work out, but then I finish drinking it?
Now you need another water bottle.
I mean, do I do pinky raises?
Yeah, keep going. Just keep going.
All right, Dooley, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
All right, man.
All right, Tammy, Eugene, Macongo, I appreciate it. Thanks for joining us on today's panel. Folks, if y'all want to support what we do, please download the Black Star Network app. I had a brother send me a tweet just a moment ago. He said, man, Twitter was buffering, but I'm glad I got the Black Star Network app. See, I told y'all. See, y'all ain't got to worry about no Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Download the app. You can watch the show that way. And we're about to launch some new shows, so you definitely want to do that. All platforms, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Xbox, Samsung, Amazon Fire TV as well. Come on, come on, come on. Anthony, come on, show the graphic. Come on, come on, let's go. I already ran through all of them already. Let's go. All right, y'all. So that's how you download the app right there. You can also support our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar you give goes to support the show. Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is venmo.com/RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland@RolandSmartin.com. Roland@RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Folks, that is it for us. Don't forget, we're going to be in Brunswick, Georgia on Wednesday and Thursday. And I'm in New York City on Friday. Crazy busy week. So we appreciate it again. Your dollars makes it possible. Support the show. We may also thank the partners, our advertising partners. Verizon just started today. Thank you very much, Verizon. We've got Amazon, Buick, and Nissan. Thank you so very much as well. I appreciate those companies that support Black-owned media. Why? Because hashtag Black-owned media matters. I will see y'all tomorrow right here. Roland Martin Unfiltered, Black Star Network. Holla!
Are the stars out tonight?
Alexa, play our favorite song again.
Okay.
Time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared. You dig?